Are you somebody who lives in Ontario, has been outpriced of the real estate market, and is looking for greater opportunities in other provinces? Well, you're not alone, and thousands of people over the last few years have been eyeing up New Brunswick as the destination for those real estate opportunities. I'm Matthew Dumont, a real estate agent in London, Ontario with eXp Realty Brokerage, and I am joined today with Haley Burrell from Remax Avante Yellow Door Realty team. Hi, Haley. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks, Matt. How are you?
I am good, thank you. So Haley is one of these people who used to live in Ontario and now has made the move to New Brunswick, and she's now selling real estate out there. So what we are doing is we've teamed up and we're putting together a webinar where people who are interested in moving from Ontario out to New Brunswick can participate in a live presentation that will be held by Haley and I. We're going to have some vendors there, including moving companies, mortgage brokers, people who can really talk about all the nuts and bolts that is required to move from Ontario to New Brunswick. But Haley, can you tell us a little bit about what your experience was like making that move?
Yeah, so moving across the country is not a small move by any means. For me, especially, we moved at the very beginning of all the COVID pandemic lockdowns, April of 2020. So lots of moving pieces. We needed to have a realtor in Ontario to help us with selling the home that we used to live in, a realtor in New Brunswick to help us find our new home, a lawyer on both ends for the transactions, and then some sort of either mover or a plan to move ourselves to actually get ourselves and our pets and all our belongings to New Brunswick. So like you said, lots of moving parts and a big checklist to go over before you take on a move of that size.
Absolutely. And that's what we really want to focus on, I think, is the fact that we have somebody, myself here in Ontario, who knows what the market is like here on the ground, but also yourself in New Brunswick, you're somebody who has made that move and gone through that whole process and now know what things are like on the ground there. So once again, we will be hosting a webinar where you can sign up and you can ask questions, you can listen to the presentation. We're going to be covering all topics that have to do with making that move to the East Coast. So there's a link in the description. Click there to register. I can tell you in Ontario right now, in the wintertime of 2022, that we're still facing the issues of low supply and high demand. And people that are living in cities, including Toronto, Cambridge, Woodstock, London, they're just simply getting outpriced of those markets with homes selling for way over asking. So they're looking at moving to places like New Brunswick. Haley, can you tell us a little bit about what the market is like in New Brunswick at the moment?
Yeah, so the market in New Brunswick right now is really hot. Typically, historically in New Brunswick, we've seen a buyer's market for a very long time. Real estate prices have been undervalued in New Brunswick for a long time. So we've started to see a little bit of a correction, playing catch up a little bit with the bigger, more Western provinces. The pace of the market is very similar to what you're seeing in Ontario. There are a ton of buyers. There's a migration of people that are coming from other provinces that are being priced out of the big cities like Toronto, even London, where I grew up. So they're, migrating to New Brunswick a lot for that reason, which is creating a surplus of buyers and a very, very low inventory of homes for sale. But being a buyer in this market is difficult. It's not impossible. It's good to have professionals on your side that are going to give you realistic expectations of what your shopping experience is going to be like.
Even though the market is still really hot in New Brunswick at the moment, do we still see a lot more value than you can get for properties than what you're seeing in Ontario?
Absolutely, hands down. Best example I can give you is my own situation. Living in London, Ontario, I lived in a 2-story, 3-bedroom, semi-detached home. My backyard was about the size of a postage stamp. And when I moved 2 years ago and sold that home, we sold it for $345,000. We moved to New Brunswick. We're about half an hour east of Moncton. So we're in a rural area. We're living now on 7 acres of property. I can see the ocean from my backyard, and there's also most of that 5 acres in the back is trails, so I can take my dog for a run. We can do some crossbow shooting back there, whatever we want. We're pretty private, and we bought for $256,000.
Wow.
So the universe of prices is really, really different.
That's incredible. So you can sell really high here in Ontario, and what you're getting in New Brunswick is a lot more value. Your dollar goes a lot further for what you got out there. To move from a home in the city in southwestern Ontario to now some acreage in New Brunswick is incredible.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So if you are somebody who is from Ontario and you're looking at making that move to the East Coast and you've got some questions, this webinar is for you. Click on the link in the description, register, and we look really forward to having you there.